Final question from Cade. Are the Raptors a threat? What are the chances they win their division, the Eastern Conference?
How are we defining threat?
And also, they're not going to win their division because the Nets exist, is the only thing I'll say.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Toronto is a reasonable threat to make the playoffs and potentially pull off a first-round upset. I don't know how much further I would go than that, but the infrastructure in Toronto is so strong. You can count on Masai Ujiri making a smart deadline move that is going to improve his team's chances both in the short and long term. Fred VanVleet offers them an all-star who can carry the team on a semi-nightly basis. Scottie Barnes is only going to continue improving. There are pieces in place for this team to be really dangerous. I don't know that there is the reliable night in, night out, carry an organization talent necessary to make it through the Eastern Conference playoffs that includes a resurgent Chicago Bulls franchise, that includes a big three that's going to be available for half of the playoff games, that includes a motivated Miami Heat team, that includes Giannis Antetokounmpo. I don't see them getting through that gauntlet, but I could very much see the Raptors putting a scare into some teams in the playoffs.
I mean, with everything you said there, I think they're one point of attack weapon short of being a real problem.
Yeah.
And if you look at their record or how they performed at the beginning of the season, there's just so much of a difference to the way they've been playing lately. I know they've beat up on some teams that didn't have guys. That's the story of this entire fucking shit show of a season. With having at OG Anunoby, Fred VanVleet, and Pascal Siakam all available, it changes the way your offense is allowed to operate, where you don't need OG to do as much on the ball, and that's just better suited for him. And OG has been shooting so well from three. It's another outlet in terms of spacing for Siakam and Fred VanVleet. I think Gary Trent Jr. is a more dynamic offensive player than people give him credit for. Scottie Barnes has shined for not just moments, but like long stretches on that end. But they do need just like an additional ball handling attacker. But the fact that they're sort of already that close, given where they were, not where they were because they had the talent and just weren't healthy or able to play at home last year, but just given what happened last season, and a lot of people thought they were candidates to blow it up now, I would actually say I wouldn't trust their offense, but like they are defensively, like they could really give a Brooklyn or a Milwaukee and definitely a Chicago or a Miami problems in a first round series. If the playoff bracket was set right now, it'd be Bulls and Raptors in the first round. I'm sure you would pick Chicago, as would I. I'm not okay. Good. I'm not sure that I would pick Chicago in that. And if I did, it would probably be like a Bulls and 7 situation. Maybe I'm underestimating how much the offensive hierarchy in Toronto would be impacted in a postseason setting, because they will ugly up half court sets. Like they need second chance points. They need to catch air balls or whatever. But like their offense is not as bad as people expect, in part because they make a lot of those second chance opportunities and they do have real talent. But to say that they're that type of, point of attack weapon, and I don't even think it needs to be like a co-star. It'd be nice if it was, but someone to come off that, like if a Karis LeVert was coming off their bench, I might think that this team is just ready, not to make it out of the East, but be super real problems. And I will finish with this. I think they probably need to be buyers at the trade deadline now. You're holding or you're buying. Toronto's not a seller's candidate.
Definitely not.
I know VanVleet.
I don't know who you would sell.
Well, because people look at it and say, oh, you want to rebuild around Anunoby and Barnes. They're the future. Trent's still young. Siakam and VanVleet, I think, are 28. And they're at the peaks that they're going to operate at right now, or they're in the firm part of their prime. And, their best days are going to be behind them when Barnes has his best days and OG maybe has his best days. That's the mode of thinking for a team that isn't good and can't do anything now. The Raptors just don't fit that criteria. I think they're ready to I think they will be a top 6 team in the East. I predicted at the beginning of the year in the preseason they would be better than the Knicks, which tells you how uneasy I was about the Knicks leading into the season. I think they will be a top 6 team in the East, though. I have them in that conversation.
And beyond that, I think that, every year there's that one team that no one really wants to play in the playoffs. This is that team in the East.
Atlanta could have that potential. Like, you don't want to have to face them.
For sure.
I think the Raptors have shown more this season than Atlanta, for sure.
I also think that typically the team that qualifies most for that is a defensive juggernaut rather than an offensive juggernaut.
That's a good point. That's a great point, actually. That will do it for us. We have other questions. I'll save them for the next mailbag, whenever that is. Thank you for everyone who made it this far. If this is your first time listening, or if you just have not done so, consider throwing us that permanent subscription wherever you get your podcast. We can be found on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, Google, YouTube, youtube.com, search Hardwood Knocks. We come up. Throw us ratings and reviews on Spotify and iTunes. They help us a ton when you do that. Even if you have feedback, throw it in there, but throw us the 5 stars anyway. We are reading them. We do take them into account. Follow us on Twitter. Adam is at Frommel09. I am at Dan Favale, Favale, and the show is at Hardwood Knocks, which is also sometimes on Instagram when I remember to use it, at Hardwood_Knocks. Until next time, we'll leave with the shout out to the one, the only, the legend, the myth, Frank Ntilikina.